Hi and welcome to another awkward view because I felt like being comfortable and I was trying to work out exactly how do I show you that I am wearing socks that I've knitted. was about all I could come up with, so welcome to my bedroom and these are my sock reviews. Sorry, I'm one of those people. So, this is a company called Unravelled, and anyway, as I was saying, before the husband decided that he's going to mow the lawns of all times. Anyway, it's a company called Unravelled, and I found them because I was looking for sock blockers. Now, they didn't have any of their sock blockers online, but when I was Googling for sock blockers, they had some. So then I had my father make some. So that's the story of how I found them. They're a New Zealand-based company, and I ordered 2 sock knitting kits. It's worth noting that at this point, I hadn't actually knit any socks whatsoever. I had not made a single sock. So I ordered 2 lots. The first one I ordered was the sloth socks, which this is just a straight tube sock. I ordered it because I have these sandals. And I ordered the Socksy yarn socks kit. That makes sense. This one I got in the colour Mars Experiment, and this one I got in the colour... Actually, I'm not sure what the colour is. It's a self-striping, self-patterning yarn, so it was kind of fun. Anyway, when I got it, it arrived all in this baggie here. Well, at least this is what the Socksy one did. And the other one came in a pack very similar. I ordered the kit, so it came with the Chiago Chigu Combo Short Needles set. However, I didn't end up knitting these socks with these needles because I started knitting the tube sock first. Now, the tube sock, I'm just not there yet. This has got to get to 50 centimetres before it's done. And there's a lot more stitches on it. And I have found that using these tiny needles is a skill in itself. So it's taking a while to master that skill. So what I ended up doing was just using Mizing double-pointed needles. So that's what I ended up using. Since then, I have tried these needles from Addy, which are... It's a 3 needle set of very tiny circulars. They're quite cool, but I prefer these to these. But I think, despite the fact that it's the stabbing of many pains, this is where I'm at so far with socks. I prefer these, although I am going to try the 2 at a time on the long circular needles next. So that's my next task. So I ordered this. It came with the most useful gift with purchase I've ever got, which is a knitting stitch and gauge marker that's been laser cut out of wood. And it's beautiful and it's lovely and it's very handy. And the neighbour's puppy is now going to be the neighbour's puppy and make noises because it's one of those afternoons. Anyway, this has been very handy. I don't know whether or not other people would get this if they ordered, but it was a very cute bonus to get. Now this kit came with stitch markers, it came with a needle, it came with the wool, and it came with the pattern. Now the pattern itself, this pattern's really good. I will show you. Here is my finished sock. It's one that's got the heel gusset, and then you do like a heel turn, and then you pick up these stitches, and then you slant them down, basically. I didn't know how I felt about that at the time. So I've now made 2 pairs of socks on this pattern, and I quite like knitting it, but there's something a bit sort of hit and miss about picking up the stitches along the edge of your heel and then with your decreasing. So I thought I would try the German short rows, which is these ones here. And the German short rows are fine. They're just... I'm trying to work out which is more comfortable to wear before I start making more socks. So that's basically where I'm up to. So what would I say about the Unravelled kit? This yarn is fantastic. It's a really soft, really nice yarn to work with. I think it's made in Turkey, but it's 100% wool. And is it 100% wool or is it 100% wool and a bit of nylon or something? I can't even remember. Either way, it says no chance for cold feet, and it's absolutely correct. There is no chance of getting cold feet in these socks. It was really lovely to knit. Which sock was first? Which sock was first? I think this was the first sock that I completed. And it happened really quickly, comparatively. Actually, the second sock was a lot faster. But what was nice about knitting this yarn is that because it self-stripes and it self-colours, it was watching the patterns appear. Now, there's pieces where all of a sudden you'd get these sandy bits and they've got little blobs in it. And you're like, oh, that's cute. And then you'd get these green bits where all of a sudden it would look like you had a slanting stripe going through there, and you're like, oh, who designed that? That's so clever and beautiful. So the yarn itself was a lot of fun to work with because it really staved off that boredom that people keep talking about with second sock syndrome. Now, I haven't had second sock syndrome so far. I'm holding my breath for that because I know that at some point I'm sure I will, because I tend to get bored easily. Anyway, so what did I think? If I was to think about the slouch socks, very easy pattern. It's just taking forever. I'm not going to be doing a separate review of this pattern because this pattern is, not that I want to give it away, but that's it. There's really just 3 instructions. So it's very short in terms of patterning, and it's just, you just carry on knitting. It's a very simple sock to knit, and when it's done, it is a nice yarn. It is lovely. It feels good on my hands. It's going to feel good on my feet. It's going to be with the little stripy sections, which is kind of cool. When it does get slouchy, it's going to look really nice. So I'm excited about these socks, but it's not worth doing a separate review on them. And it's going to take me forever until I finish it, because I'm sure if you've been following along, this ball of yarn I keep in the jacket, my jacket pocket. And this is what I knit when I'm waiting for takeaways. Yep. There's been a lot of takeaways in medical waiting rooms recently. Now, this pattern here, since knitting the German short row heels, I think I prefer the comfort level of this heel here. I think that this section here on the heel flap holds against the back of the ankle better than the German short rows do. It feels like this whole top sock part fits better. There's something quite satisfying about the shape that you get on the bottom of the sock. So it is a pattern that I enjoy. I liked the fact that the pattern basically said it gave instructions for this bit, instructions for this bit, instructions for this bit, and said this bit here, knit from this point on your foot up to about 4 centimetres before the end of your toe. And I thought that was quite clever because it means that technically this is a universal pattern. There is enough yarn left over from making this sock that they could have either been longer for me or I could have made the larger size. I would like to think that I've got large feet, but I made the medium, and these are perfect. They're just absolutely stunning. Yeah, I love them a great deal. I have not made them all wet and blocked them yet, predominantly because I've enjoyed touching them, and I didn't want to lose them in the washing machine or have them eaten by a dog before making this video. Yeah. I'm not sure there's anything I would complain about. I liked the fact it was a New Zealand company. It was a really quick turnaround for me from placing the order to them arriving. I felt valued as a customer. I feel like they've got some really nice patterns and pattern kits. Their pattern kit was quite well thought through. And finding a sock pattern kit has been a bit of a challenge because what I've been wanting to do recently is to knit with things that are definitely more natural fibres and better for the environment, and looking at things that are a little bit less of travel distance to get here, because New Zealand is a long way away. And I did feel like these ticked a lot of the boxes. I've been very pleasantly surprised with the pattern itself, because when I started knitting the first one, I thought, oh, there's not a lot of detail on this one, so maybe it's going to be just a bit much. There's a lot of things in this pattern that are counterintuitive. I found particularly moving from the section here where you do the back of the heel into the rounded bit there, it felt like when I was doing those instructions that it was never going to work, and I had to have an argument with my own head to just follow the instructions and do it. But when I followed the instructions and just did it, it was great. Yeah. So, would I recommend this kit? Completely, definitely. I'm going to be knitting a lot more socks from this pattern. There's a few changes I think I'll make to the pattern to fit my own foot, but I'm going to try the larger size and see if they work for other people in my life. Yeah, and I think I've learned a lot about socks. Since then I've knitted my own sock pattern, with a few things that I've learnt, where I tried the German short row heels and things, because I wanted to make a really easy, quick sock pattern, and this is not as easy or as quick as the German short rows. The only difference I've made in this pattern to the one as written is I changed from the 2x2 rib, which is on the pattern theoretically, but I found that this doesn't hold its shape as nicely as a 1x1 rib, so I changed it to a 1x1 rib, and that works much better for me on my foot. So as far as a pattern review goes, this is the first time where I've ordered a pattern kit and knitted it and thought 10 out of 10 would do this again. So I was a beginner sock maker. Beginner sock knitter, never knitted a sock before. Had knitted a lot of other things, but hadn't knitted a sock. And I would say the Unravelled Socksy Yarn sock kit, perfect. It's coming on up to old Christmas. There's plenty of time for anyone overseas to order one. It's got literally everything in it you could want at a pretty reasonable price for the yarn. You can either get it as the pattern with the yarn, or you can get the full kit that has the needles, the needle, the darning needle, the stitch markers, and the pattern and the yarn. So you've got two options. One's half the price of the other. What I would recommend is, because most of you are going to either have needles or that sort of thing, it's a great gift for somebody who knits. You could just get the kit without the needles, which would cut the price down and make it quite a good sort of gift to get to somebody. But if you know that you either really like the person or you think they're a bit more adventurous than you know, you might think they're being adventurous, buy the kit. Because it was all-encompassing and it had one of everything. So 10 out of 10. Really like Unravelled, really like this sock pattern. This one will be a beautiful sock when it's done. It's just dead boring. Will I order from them again? I don't know. A lot of their projects don't necessarily appeal to me. They have a lot of accessories. If they had other sock kits with different designs and things, or different yarns, I would probably order some. But I've now placed 2 orders from Unravelled. So I'm quite happy with them, and I think that they treat you really nicely as a customer. So that's my review of the Unravelled Socksy Yarn sock kit, No Chance of Cold Feet, and I shall see you anon. Hopefully it hasn't been too weird sitting here on my bed just so that I could show you my feet. That sentence in itself is the most weird of all the things. Anyway, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I shall see you anon.